this is Psycho Seamstress with Rock Rage Radio, and tonight we're talking to Digger, aka your real name, Dale Caldwell. Dale Digger, right? You go by, everybody knows you by Digger.
Either way,
Yeah. Dale is pretty much become world famous for his leather, authentic replica, museum quality, film quality, leather. Do you call yourself a leathersmith, or is there like a term for it?
I would say leathersmith,
Yeah.
armorer, costumer.
Right.
Whether it be, I can do most anything, but my specialty is armor and medieval costuming and stuff like that.
And it's handmade.
Oh, yeah.
Hand riveted.
For sure.
Hand sculpted.
Carved.
Yeah.
Everything's carved by hand. I mean, there's no machines involved in any of this. And
you cut everything by hand.
Oh, yeah. Everything. Every single piece there's like 12 steps to every single piece.
So you've gotten it down to a science.
Yeah. I'd like to think so. Or at least my science,
Right. A process that makes sense for you. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
So you tell us how you got started in all of this.
Oh, wow. Well, in the 80s, I was obviously a metalhead and into Iron Maiden and all that kind of stuff. And then as in the early 90s, when the death metal thing started happening, just black leather and metal go together anyways.
Studded, spiked, all that,
and then in the early 90s, I seen a band called Unleashed. It was like Across the Open Sea tour. And they're one of the first bands that did the Viking death metal, and Johnny come out on the stage with a horn in his hand, and he's like, "Here's to all you death metal warriors," and to Odin and all this shit, and I'm like, God damn! Right then, I knew what was up.
Wow.
I was metal anyways, but then the Viking thing hit, and it just took me, and then like around the exact same period, I started going to the Renaissance Festival in Tampa. And on the weekends, all of us metalheads, like me and Lee Harrison from Monstrosity and Corpse Grinder, and Trey Azagthoth and Pete Sandoval, we would all go down to the Renaissance festivals on the weekends because I lived down there at the time. And we'd go to the Renaissance Festival on the weekends, and it was like stepping back into a medieval period.
Right, back in time.
Yeah, and there was like incense and all this leather stuff, and it was like stepping back a few hundred years, and you could even step back a thousand years if you wanted to.
Right.
And it all fits. And I just felt like so comfortable and at home amongst all those artisans and crafters, that it felt like home, and it was almost like a spiritual experience.
Right.
Even.
It was a defining moment in your life.
Yeah, to be around that many creative people that were interested in ancient shit.
Right.
It was like, wow, man, this is the shit.
Right.
And that was the early 90s, man. And then me and my girlfriend Jen, we used to go down there. We'd go to the fair. And I was always just like, wouldn't it be great to live as a barbarian, as a gypsy, and travel around with these people and live in a medieval community with people, like-minded people.
Right.
And wow, it was just intense, man.
So you guys went for it.
Yeah, well, this guy that I was trading stuff for leather, this leather guy there, he was making the armor, and he was making some pretty dark shit. And I was like, wow, this is it right here. And I befriended this dude at Pyramid Leather. His name was Don Stowell. And I befriended this dude. And next thing you know, man, he offered me up the opportunity to be an apprentice and teach myself how to do this stuff.
Wow.
And sure as hell, I went off, and here I went. And he offered me up the opportunity to teach myself, and that's where it started. And I started just going to working for him at other fairs and making his product and selling it.
Right. The way he did it, he taught you his ways, and then you evolved from there.
And I evolved from there and took my own style and adapted and put Thor's hammers in the Viking theme, in the metal theme, and Satan
all kinds of
and
symbols.
all that shit. You know, whether it be Celtic or Roman or whatever.
Right.
You know, took it to the next level, and that's when, you know, and that's how that evolved with the fair.
So you had a different type of career before all this started, and it has a lot to do with your name now. You told me this story.
Yeah.
So tell us the story. So you were in the death metal scene, 80s and 90s.
Yeah, late 80s, early 90s. Well, ever since then, I've been in there since it started.
Right.
I'm like
the Florida death metal scene.
40-something.
Yeah.
Here I am sitting here 40 years old. But yeah, like, I worked at the cemetery in Orlando, in the Woodlawn Cemetery. By the way, I buried Bob Ross. Thank you very much. I most certainly buried his ass. But anyways, me in the old days,
the painter guy.
Yeah, the painter guy. I buried Bob Ross.
I just went to
for real.
The beach, New Smyrna Beach. He has a store there.
Yeah, and this little museum thing.
The happy little trees.
Yeah, the happy tree dude. I buried that dude.
Wow.
Right there. Buried him right.
You dug his grave.
Yeah. And,
wow.
But in the early days, there was the Beecham Theater, and all the death metal bands used to play, and that's when we were all young.
Right.
Like all these dudes in Obituary and shit were like not even 20 yet, half of them. I know Chuck Schuldiner since we was like 15.
Yeah.
But we were in the cemetery, and there used to be death metal shows here, and we used to rehearse over at Discount Music Center. And the Deicide guys would come up and rehearse there before shows, or whoever.
Right.
You know, Lee and the boys from Monstrosity. That's when Corpse Grinder was still in Monstrosity.
Right.
But to make a long story short, we used to go out to the cemetery after shows.
And
in the middle of the night and hang out and drink and do random things in the cemetery. You know, and me and George Corpse Grinder was out in the cemetery, and Lee Harrison, and they were doing the monstrosity thing, and I showed them graves that I had dug the day prior.
Right.
You know, and me and Corpse Grinder was sitting there, and he's like, "Dude, what's up with that, man? You dig fucking graves? Are you fucking shitting me?" And I told him earlier in the day, you know, we had been friends for a minute.
Right.
And I took him, we used to hang out there a lot. And after we first
So he just thought you were kidding?
Yeah, he thought I was bullshitting him, and he's like, "Dude, you're a fucking gravedigger for real? I'm going to call you Gravedigger from now on." You know? And Lee's like, "Yeah," because we all had nicknames.
Right.
Because they used to hang out with the monstrosity dudes. And Lee was, Lavender, and the bass player Mark Van Ert was Crony, and there was Stimpy was the guitar player dude, Mark English, you know, and Corpse Grinder, obviously. So that's how I got the name Gravedigger, was a fateful night in the early death metal days in the fucking graveyard.
I don you, Gravedigger.
Yeah, and that's how that worked under the cemetery gaze, you know.
And it stuck.
Oh, till now.
Yeah.
Some people don't even know my real name.
Right.
You know, most people don't even know my real name.
Right.
You know?
So, how has your work evolved over the years? Like, Behemoth, where's your shit? I mean, there's some huge death metal bands that tour the world that wear your armor on stage. So, tell us how that happened.
Well, I was doing I had already learned how to do the leather work, or was learning how to do the leather work. When was it, about 2006 or so? I went on tour with Behemoth, and I was their tour manager.
Oh, okay.
And that was a hell of a note. Me and 4 Polish dudes that can't even speak English for shit.
Right.
In the van going across America, and here I am, a Southern dude. And it was a great culture shock.
Right.
But anyways,
for all of you.
It was wonderful. And I wore my stuff as I was selling merch. I wore like a gladiator arm that I made for myself. And Nurgle walks up to me one day, and he's like, "You make this?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's just what I do, man." You know, once we got to know each other on the tour.
Yeah.
He's like, "You make this?" And I was like, "Yes." You know, and he's like, "You make this for me?" And I was like, "I can make this for you for sure."
Right.
And he's like, "I want this for the next record." And we explained what he wanted.
Right.
And I was like, "Well, I can build that."
Right.
You know, and this was a long time ago.
Right.
It
Wow.
wasn't 2007. It was probably 8 or 9 years, 10 years ago.
Right.
And that's when the metal thing come together.
Yeah.
It was Behemoth. The first was
they
my
were the first ones to wear your stuff on stage
on the Apostasy record.
Wow.
And I was so stoked. I didn't know what to think.
Right.
You know, and then that was right about the time Behemoth was really starting to step up, and they were starting to blow up.
Right.
You know, like really, because I was on the Demigod tour. And the Demigod was at a steady climb.
Right.
And then Demigod was a really sick record. We were on tour for that. And then the next one was the Apostasy, and that was bam. And then they really started hitting it.
Right.
And then going into the costuming and the theatrics a bit more, and the stage show with the metal and you know, the flames and all this costuming and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, so
stepping up their game.
Yeah, well, when you're a band and your music is badass and you have an image.
You can't just walk on there in a t-shirt and jeans.
Yeah, if you're a death metal band, if you're Corpse Grinder, you can walk out there and brutalize fuckers in a t-shirt and jeans or whatever.
Right.
But the black metal and the theatrics and stuff, the bands that usually end up going to the next level are the ones that have a stage show and the theatrical thing to go along with the music. You know, it's one or the other.
Right.
And in these cases, it's both, and then it kind of blew up. And next thing you know, there's posters that I can show all my other metal buddies.
Right.
They're like, dude, Behemoth's got this shit.
Right.
You know, and next thing you know, I'm friends with Dimmu Borgir since '99.
Wow.
We went on tour with Monstrosity and Samael, and I knew them dudes already too. And they're like, well, can you make us something different, but our style and really badass? And I did it for them, and next thing you know, like Amon Amarth, I did a little bit of stuff for them, and Ex Deo's got some epic shit.
Right.
You know, Black Witchery from Florida.
Goat Horror.
Yeah, Goat Horror for real. Goat Horror those are like my best boy. Those are my southern boys right there. Goat Horror's been using my stuff just about the whole time. So ever since they met me, Ben's been wearing the same shit, these black on black.
Black
bracers,
studs on black leather.
Pyramids,
that's I love that look.
All semi spikes and his guitar straps and stuff.
Recently, there was a guy from South American Jesus, or what it was.
Oh, thy Antichrist.
Okay, something
thy
like
Antichrist.
Yeah,
Andreas Vargas.
Wow.
From Colombia, the Colombian Antichrist.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. He those are my latest piece right there. I did some stuff for his upper arms and stuff. You know, I did things for him, and then Hank Williams III.
Yeah.
I worked for him.
So you did guitar straps, studded, all kinds of guitar straps,
of shit like that.
Full armor. I mean,
carved
corsets for women, of course. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we got to have those.
Yeah.
Right there, we got to be there for the
So
support.
I mean, you've got quite a, and we talked about this last time I was here. You don't duplicate, like if you don't do the same design twice.
I try not to. I mean, if I do, there ain't but maybe 5 of them. But as far as the armor goes, I try to not do the same ones or the same hardware or the same colors. But I've been doing it for so many years, it's kind of hard to not. You know, make some of them end up similar.
Hundreds of different designs.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
many
I've
different
seen,
patterns.
Yeah.
And Jen carves some ridiculously badass shit.
So you do the leather, put and rivet everything together and stud it, and then Jen carves it and paints it
She does the carving and to what I consider the artist's work. I don't really think that what I do is art for shit. You know, I guess I'm designing and building. I think I'm a builder, but she's more of an artist. Because she carves the designs in. It's not like there's a press or a series.
You guys
of
don't have
presses
stamps. You hand carve everything.
No, it's all done by hand.
That's insane.
You'd be like everybody else if you got all that cheap shit. And you might as well put it in Hot Topic is to have that kind of shit out there.
It's not like you went to Tandy and bought a bunch of stamps and use all that. You hand tool everything.
No, that's all carved by hand and whatever they want. I mean, you can draw a picture and we can put it there.
On there. Right.
Yeah, so
wow.
That's how you can change something from a satanic piece to a kilt Celtic piece,
right,
to a Vikingish piece, depending on the image that you put on the breastplate itself,
right,
and the rest of the outfit that goes around it.
Right.
You know, the same dude could be wearing something similar and have two whole different things going.
Looks.
You know?
I saw some stuff that you did that had some metal, like a lion, and some other metal pieces incorporated into it.
Yeah, those were some custom door knockers.
Wow, really?
Yeah, this dude brought over, like, they were like for making furniture, like furniture pulls and shit. And the door knocker, this dude brought over 2 bronze door knockers.
Wow.
And they were like $200-something a piece. And one of them was a big old huge pan.
Right.
A bronze pan.
You figured out how to mount it on the
We mounted it
front.
on the leather and then molded around it, and there it went, man.
Wow.
And that was some really nice.
That was really nice.
That was the
piece.
Roman stuff that came out ridiculously.
That was insane. So from when the time you were on tour, since this is a radio show, you get to play some music. So, like, pick a song from, I don't know, one of your favorite tours, or...
Well, there was always dig the title at The Left Hand of God. You know what I mean? That was a proper Behemoth video, and that was like, I think that was the first one, if it was badass Behemoth tracks. You know, the stuff is actually featured in the videos too. That was
cool.
Yeah, and like At the Left Hand of God.
At the Left Hand of God by Behemoth.
Left Hand of God.
All right, let's roll it. This is Psycho Seamstress with Rock Rage Radio, and we're here with Dale Caldwell, also known as Digger's Leather. Dale is an amazing leathersmith, leather artisan. He makes leather armor that is just off the chain.
Thank you.
Now, you're welcome. So you're in the Ren festivals. So how did that? So that's kind of where you got baptized into this whole where you saw it, Yeah.
But yes, indeed, that's it. You know,
by fire.
Yeah, fire and ice.
And
that's how it worked out.
You've told me some stories about traveling around the whole country with this band of gypsies that goes from Renfest to Renfest to Renfest, and it's a subculture.
It is indeed a subculture, for real. How
did that, when you do these Ren festivals, how did that work? And like, how did, like, you don't do email, you don't do internet, you don't have a website, you don't have a business card. What the hell, man?
How did your stuff end up on every stage on the planet?
Right. I mean, what the heck? People know you.
Yeah. Well, I've been doing
I drop your name all the time. They're like, I know that dude.
Well, I've been doing it for quite some time, and I'm like...
16 years?
Yeah, it's pretty unique stuff, and if you see it, if you've heard of it or seen it on... I have almost an army of people in different states that have been buying stuff.
Well, we talked about this one time about what if someone hired you to do a film and you kind of freaked out. I was like, oh, how am I going to handle all that work? But then you said, I could probably call, these people and these people and these people and put together an army of shit.
I've probably been doing this. I've been doing it for like 14, 15 years or better.
Yeah.
And
you've got
over the years,
full time.
Yeah, over the years, wow, there's probably maybe 30 pieces a year.
Yeah.
So that's a small army right there, and that's some real sore hands too.
Right.
At the end of the day, when that's all
I've seen your thumb from rolling that leather over.
Big ass knot.
Yeah, you've got a big knot on your thumb from just turning that leather up on the edges.
Yeah, that's it. There's nothing about this job that's easy.
Right.
And
it's like blacksmith kind of work almost.
Yeah, and it's one of the hardest ways to go about making money too.
Right.
But it's like a love of craft and a love of the past and what you're doing. It's worth the pains at the end of the day. And the people that are into the work, they're into paying what I want for it because they know the hardships that go into making it. And the overhead.
artisan skills. I mean, this isn't something you can just take a class and learn how to do. It took you years of working with someone who taught you how to do this.
Yeah.
Like, how long did it take before you were at a level where, you know, because we talked about this, how where you kind of started designing your own stuff and started having some ideas of your own.
Well, once I started learning how to do it, the breastplates that I made for the old man that I was working for, like, I learned how to do them within a month.
Right.
I could build it because
right.
being motivated, if you got any brains at all, you can figure out things.
Right.
And if you're not lazy,
yeah,
and you actually have some sort of ambition about yourself, you can figure it out by watching somebody if you got any sense.
Exactly.
You know, and pretty much like that, you know, and then over the years, it's just like, wow.
Well, I
took what he was doing,
which was pretty basic, I think, compared to what where you've taken it.
Level, well, Don was an old dude, and you know, and he's complacent. You know what I mean? And he wasn't really interested in something extraordinary or something.
Right.
You know, or
he was content with keeping it simple.
Yeah, and I, on the other hand, wanted to take it to the next level. You know, I want people to remember that stuff.
Right.
And when these people do, I mean, there's people there's a couple guys that just collect them.
Right. Well, I mean, when you and Jen get dressed up and you guys go walk around a Ren Fair, people stop you and want photos. You guys are like superheroes.
Oh, it's like the paparazzi.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, you guys get a line of people who want a photo op with you got dressed up like Conan the Barbarian, the two of you.
Actually, Frank Frazetta's granddaughter.
Oh, yes. Please tell that story. Tell us that story. That's an awesome story.
Me and Jen were kicking it at the Comic-Con in New York, and we walked outside to smoke a cigarette. And
in your armor.
Yeah, totally decked out. And there was this girl standing not too far from us. Her and her peoples were standing there, and I noticed out the corner of my eye that she was checking us out. You know, like checking us out. And she walks up and she's like, "Hey, man, you know, can I get a smoke?" And we're like, "Sure, we'll give you a smoke." So we give her a cigarette and lit it. And you could tell the wheels were turning in her brain.
Right.
She's like, "You guys look like you just stepped out of one of my grandfather's pictures."
Wow.
And for whatever reason, I was like, this bitch is Frank Frazetta's granddaughter. And I was like, "So, who is your grandfather?"
Right.
You know, and she's like, "Frank Frazetta." And I was like, ah.
Right.
I was like, "You are seed from Frazetta's loins somehow or another."
Wow.
You know, I was like, "That's cool."
Right.
You know,
no doubt. I love Frazetta. I mean, I'm from the 80s.
Wow.
I grew up on, you know, the Molly Hatchet album covers.
Yeah,
and
dude.
Frazetta and
well, he was one
Vallejo,
of the first, he was one of the first ones.
Yes.
In the 50s even, in 60s, drawing barbarians and Viking shit and all this fantasy artwork, man, that was just like, whoa.
To me, it was like Renaissance, but it was in this
Dark
barbarian, this style of it just was.
Well, the Renaissance was the more happier-go-lucky period, like after the Dark Ages of the plague and shit.
Right.
Back when everything was the springtime of European history or something, when it started to blossom out and not be so dark and morbid and
the Dark Ages,
and so hard to live. You know, that was almost, you know, just pre to the the Industrial Revolution, just before that, when everybody was figuring out the histories of Europe and the lineages of England and all that kind of stuff. That was like, you know, the Renaissance was a happy period, and Frazetta's stuff was just like all Nordic and dark. Yeah. You know, and
Conan the Barbarian.
Yeah, fantasy. Yeah. Fantasy dragons and shit.
Right.
And who the fuck's seen a werewolf prior to Frazetta drawing one? Yeah. Who hardly ever seen one that was really cool like that? You know, you never seen anything like that. And Frazetta's granddaughter come up and hung out with us. And
wow.
I'm sorry, we kind of ranted on that Frazetta thing. That freaked me out. Totally.
Yeah.
But, yeah, in the Ren Fair, it's like being with that. I work with this dude that owns Capricorn Arms because I don't have a big enough in business to have a big overhead of thousands of dollars for a booth and stuff.
Right.
So I work
partner.
I work with this dude at Tim Leeson at Capricorn Arms. So that way we sell weapons and armor there.
Right.
And traveling around the country, he has like probably 17 or 18 employees.
Right.
At different booths and selling different stuff.
At the different fairs.
Mm-hmm. Which we do like New York, and he does New York, Tennessee, Ohio, Louisiana. Louisiana's fun.
Yeah.
And Florida shows.
Right.
So we get around this side of the Mississippi River pretty good. And he sells weapons and stuff, and he's got the big, we got like 2 school buses slat full of weapons at any given time. Insane. Like, for real.
Oh, I already told you. If the zombie apocalypse ever hits, dude, I'm coming over to your house.
There's in Louisiana, there's 2 booths with at least 1,500 swords in each one of them.
The balls with the spikes sticking out of it, shit. And the double... The axe from the Frazetta painting with 2 blades on each, blade on each side. It's insane.
Yeah, we got everything.
And that shit exists. I mean, these guys make that stuff.
Yeah, people do that.
That's crazy.
We got everything from a Zelda sword. Some of it's buy and sell stuff, but
right.
You got everything from a Zelda sword to a $2,000 Damascus single piece of metal Viking sword.
Right.
We got everything in between.
Right.
And then my stuff just fits in it so well.
Right.
And we're all a bunch of barbarians and weapons makers.
Yeah.
And at the Renaissance Festival, the people that work there, you got like Viking dudes, you got like metalheads, there's punk rockers, there's gutter punks that work there. There's all these kind of different people. And there's also hippies. Hippies, freaks, geeks, tweaks, and they all get along really well.
The edge of the herd. Not the edge of the herd. That's the wrong word.
Well, imagine
the outsiders of the misfits.
Imagine a roaming band of vagrants.
Yeah.
Kind of
just all these eclectic people who get along because we're all weird to everybody else.
Yeah, and on the outside, the gate outside the campground at the fair is like no man's land, what I mean? It's kind of like, okay, when you're in the safety of your little community.
Right. Your village.
Like a little bitty medieval trailer park almost.
Yeah.
Traveling from place to place.
Freak show.
And everybody gets along. We have community fires and shit. And
you all eat together.
Social events sometimes, dances during the week.
Right.
There might be a drum circle on the side of a fucking mountain.
Right.
Or something on a Wednesday night with a keg.
Right. Wow.
Yeah. Okay, we'll go up there and do whatever else it is that we feel like doing while we're drinking and checking out the fire and the mountain and where can you do that, man? Or live in a medieval village, fuck it, literally.
Right
there.
Yeah. It's a recreated,
awesome.
Throwback. It's like you said, stepping back in time.
Yeah.
So you sell at these festivals, and so you have to make a bunch of stuff to get prepared to go on the road like that. And then people hear about you. So there's a store in New York City, a very famous store. So tell us how you got into that. That's Gothic Renaissance.
Yeah, the Gothic Renaissance
store in New York City. And they sell all one-of-a-kind...
Mostly one-of-a-kind stuff.
Right.
And there's a lot of unique stuff in that store, like leather pants.
High-end.
High-end stuff. Everything in that store is high-end. So I was thinking, when I was up there doing the Renaissance Festival in Tuxedo, I was thinking to myself, what would be another avenue that I could check out? Or where can I go to get my stuff out there or...
Retail,
whatever, And I was just like, being the ambitious sort, I thought I'd go to the fanciest Gothic store that I could possibly I could think of would be cool.
Right.
So what did I do? I found out about the Gothic Renaissance was at 4th Avenue, New York City.
Wow.
That's like right there.
Big city, yeah.
Yeah, Madonna goes to that fucking store.
I know. When I was
Lady
talking
Gaga
to
goes to that store.
Pretty Reckless, she knew exactly what I was talking about.
The girl from the Cranberries came in there and bought a pair of my bracers that was in there in that store.
Right.
So, being ambitious, and I done conquered the metal shit.
Right.
You know, I've done conquered about all I needed to conquer with these black metal bands and the stuff that I was interested in. You know, I done got my stuff on the biggest black metal bands and death metal bands on the planet.
Right.
And on every single stage in the world, wherever the hell they go.
Right.
You know, so I done got that, so I thought I'd go to New York and try something else.
The big city.
They always call me an artist or a fashion designer. This is what I would be in New York City.
Wow.
I'm a fashion designer.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, you know, costume designer, period, costume designer, very specific.
Man, they realized that my work wasn't what you normally see.
And your, like, upper armor, I mean, this piece right here, I'll have to post a picture. But, like, you're talking like $6,000 for full...
Yeah, the full
upper,
money.
Yeah, the full, exactly. That's, like, all the way. Now, what about, you sell guitar straps. What do your guitar straps, like, price range go for?
Anywhere from $100 to $250, $300, depending on what's on them. Yeah.
Right. And then you do gauntlets and all of that. So what are the price ranges on things like that?
Between a couple $100 to a gladiator arm could be like $600.
Right.
You know, for a full arm gladiator.
Studded,
or the big old kidney belt. The big old gladiator kidney belts.
Right.
You know, some of that stuff is expensive and hard to do, especially when you make it from scratch.
Right.
You got to make up the pattern.
Yeah.
And
so you've patterned all of that from scratch.
Yeah.
What does something like that gladiator belt go for?
Anywhere from $500 to $2,000, depending on what work Jen puts into it carving.
Somebody asked me recently about using you to make WWF belts. Have you ever thought about that?
I could so do that.
All right, we'll have to talk about that later because I just remembered that when we were talking. So then you also do corsets. So what are your corsets like price range?
Between like $600 to $700 up to around $2,000 or so.
So they can
depending on what you want to spend, how nice you want it, or how unique you want it to you.
Right.
You know,
how fitted.
Yeah, and the carvings and stuff is where the money's at. You know, because Jen's real good at that shit.
Yeah,
like one of the
her stuff's
best
amazing.
I've seen.
There's like steampunk. I mean, every design you can think of. The steampunk stuff you guys did with the gears, that was so cool. And just the paisley. I mean, the prints and the symbolism, the Thor's hammer and the Viking themes and the 300 and just all kinds of fleur de lis I've seen.
It should have a Thor's hammer on it.
Yeah, the ram's heads with the horns. I mean, just all kinds of designs.
The animals are really cool. Those are hard to do.
Yeah,
like really hard to do. But it depends on what's into it. I mean, you can spend money with me, or you can go to Hot Topic and get something that's going to fall apart in a couple weeks. That's the difference. That's why my stuff's in the Gothic Renaissance up there. Because that's a high-end store. Because
it'll still be around in about 100 years. You can still wear it to battle.
Exactly. You could give that shit to your grandkids and it'd be around.
It's heirloom quality. I mean, really, it really is.
There's been leather pieces found in excavated longships. You know what I mean?
Right.
But, like, as far as the Gothic story is, like, that's probably those two windows where my stuff is in up there.
Yes, and it's in the front freaking window.
On 4th Avenue.
Yeah,
so,
in New York City.
Being the ambitious sort, I was just like, what would be the best place in this country for my stuff to just sit there and I could solicit, what's the best real estate in the whole country,
right,
where my stuff could be, and it was at the Gothic Renaissance up
and you
there.
nailed it.
Yeah, and I got it.
Wow.
So next is movies.
What's next? Okay, so
I don't know exactly what's next, but I'm looking forward to
you
whatever
want to do some
Odin
film
throws
work.
at me.
Now, you're afraid to kind of put your stuff on a website because you're afraid you're going to get too many orders, and you don't want to...
Well, I don't want to be enslaved
right.
to making bracelets.
Right.
You know what I mean? I like to... As it develops, yes, I would like to hire people to make to do stuff. Hire other artists
people
and other
teach.
people that want to do this.
Right.
That would be a part of it. Yeah, but
we talked about getting you an intern, and you said some of these interns, they're not even strong enough.
Half of them can't wipe their own ass.
Right. You got to be kind of a buff dude to do this kind of work. It takes a lot of muscle. It takes a lot of elbow grease.
Yeah, some of it, yeah. The cutting and the shaping and the beveling, yeah, but I got a couple soft people that can color pictures, do the painting, the carvings and stuff, and color
cut stuff out.
Yeah, but it takes pretty much some strong hands to do it.
Right.
Yeah, for real.
It's not,
But I like for it to end up, The reason about the website thing is I don't really want to be enslaved.
Right.
I want to be able to have the freedom to do what I want to do sometimes instead of what I have to do.
So you
accept commissions.
Yes.
Commissions is the shit. I love that.
So you take commissions.
That gives me something different.
Right.
And it gives us something cool and something to use your brain on instead of doing the same thing,
Because the way I work, I don't sit around and make anything for inventory. It's not what I do. Everything I do is commissioned.
I have to make stuff for inventory.
Yeah. Well, and you're used to that dynamic or that marketing strategy because of the Renaissance festivals. Because you got to go on the road and have a bunch of shit ready to sell.
Yeah. If somebody's coming in the booth and they're like, they meet me and I tell them what I can make.
Right.
That don't do me no good because they ain't giving me their money.
Right.
When I got something to show them that they shit their pants over, they're like, whoa.
Yeah, I got
this can be done?
Yeah.
For real?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, you can walk out of here with that shit $5-6 grand, and they're like, well, I'm going to do that.
Right.
Because there are people out there that got the money like that.
Yeah.
That want something badass and unique.
Like that.
There's people out there that got money that'll walk by all this bullshit,
right?
And they'll see something, and if it's not there for them to see, you don't get that impulse buy that this dude's fixing to spend stacks,
right?
Or for the kid that's spending $100, he might have looked through stuff all day long and didn't find something cool, until he sees my stuff,
right?
But if I don't make it ahead of time and have it there for him to see, it don't get sold and I don't make no money. But it just so happens I got to pay all my money out all the time.
Right.
For leather, for dye and supplies, and to pay my help and to pay my bills.
Right.
So, and it all comes out. I got it all figured out to where I don't make a ton of money off of it. But it affords me to live exactly the way I want. Right. I sleep till I get done sleeping and I get up.
Right.
I work till I get done working and I don't feel like doing it no more. And I help people that need jobs and stuff, whatever.
Right.
Want to learn something.
Right.
So it's, it works out pretty good. And it reflects in the price too because these hands being real sore all the time and Jen's hands being sore ain't cheap. Right. It ain't going down like that. Right. It's like you can buy a Chevette. Right. Or you can buy a Corvette. Right. Chevette's going to be junk in a few weeks. Right. That Corvette, you're going to take care of it. Yeah. And make it nice and add to it and put some nice wheels on it. And, you know what I mean? Right. It's an investment, and with these band dudes, it's a serious investment.
Not like your flea market studded bracelet.
Yeah. Oh hell no.
No.
No, I can't. I couldn't.
It's high end. Yeah, it's high quality. It's heirloom quality, museum quality.
Yeah.
film quality.
I kind of painted myself into a corner with it, though.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you exceeded your expectations, I think.
Well, now everybody, I have a level of quality and excellence that I have to maintain.
Right.
So it's like you can't be lazy.
Right.
You can't take shortcuts.
Scrimp on materials.
Yeah, because then if you're spending good money like that on my stuff,
right?
You know, these dudes are like,
it's your reputation.
Yeah, and they ain't going to spend the money if you can't get $5 or $10 out of somebody without a good reputation,
quality product,
and the shit,
right?
Surpassing what everyone else at the fair has got or wherever they've looked.
Right.
Online or wherever it be, you gotta I feel like I try to surpass all that stuff.
Right.
Because I'm not online, so...
So how did people get in touch with you?
Meet me at the fair or or a metal show or word of mouth. I mean, I do have a Facebook that's under my name, Dale Caldwell.
And you have Diggers Leather. Right.
I'm not... The Diggers Leather thing is kind of weird, but, they made me turn it into an artist page, and it sucks. Now I can't really get a hold of nobody. But pictures are there. And my Dale Caldwell one is where I get a hold of me.
Personal profile.
I mean, I'm really trying that email thing. It's on my phone
now.
But sometimes it's like, dude. Yeah. It's a drag, man,
Yeah. You're not into the high tech.
No, I've made it a point to go backwards in time. To push technology away and live in a more magical and wonderful time period where
it didn't exist.
Yeah, it wasn't there.
There wasn't a cell phone.
Because it works for me. I'm that kind of person.
You send a guy on a horse with a note that says, "Hey Digger, will you make me this?"
Yeah, I'm a criminal. Your services has been summoned to Lord Ragnar
with a little seal.
Sir. Yeah, all that shit. You have been summoned to the castle, sir. That kind of I've pushed myself away from the technology thing. I mean, it's bad. It's probably not so good for business, but it's good for my own personal freedom.
Yes.
It's
your personal choice.
Yeah, to go off and live in the Middle Ages.
I mean,
you're great, dude.
Off the grid.
It's great.
Yeah.
To
walk away.
Yeah, man. The normal society, man. You see everybody out there nowadays. They're just like fucking
walking
each other
around,
over,
their
so
phones.
stressed out with their face in the phone. They can't see the sky or the moon or the leaves or the grass.
Yeah.
Or they're looking at a video game or a computer screen, and that's not particularly living, man.
Yeah.
There's hardships involved in life, and especially doing what I do. There's I've lived in tents doing this stuff.
Literally.
Yeah, for real. I've woke up with snake under my pillow in my tent.
I'd be done.
From that day forward, I slept in a van. But nonetheless, there's a lot of hardships that people go through to do what I do.
Right.
And there's a lot of hardships that I've been through. But there's also a lot of pros that go with the cons. Like, you might not be able, you got to walk to poop in the shitter like 50 yards or 100 yards away, or take showers somewhere else and haul your dishes to get fit to wash the dishes.
Yeah.
But there's also the pros to it, that you're in the mountains. You could be in the mountains one week hanging out. The same week you're in New York City hanging out with Goat Whore or Jen Arroyo, or somebody in the same city, and then go back to the forest into your little safe spot, with your people, and your safe little clan that nobody's really from the outside world is in. There's pros and cons. I mean, like, sometimes I didn't have air conditioning living in a tent.
Yeah.
Mosquitoes and black widow spiders. When you pack up your tent, there's black widow spiders under you.
Right.
Whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
But there's also, on Saturday and Sunday, you're a rock star out
right.
there. Woo! It's fun. You're selling your stuff.
You walk around dressed like that. Like, when you get all dressed up, I mean, you guys stop traffic. I mean, it's...
Yeah, I'm leading the parade.
Like,
in New York, I'm in the front of the parade. And there's like 100 people behind me, and I got to act. And I'm like, what's up? You know, walking across the field, the joust field.
Right.
Talking shit to all the people in the crowd and randomly harassing fuckers as I go through. It's just great, man. Yeah. It's great. I love it.
So it's like almost a cosplay experience.
It's a cosplay life almost.
But it's such a higher level of, Comic-Con or...
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's like to the nth degree of cosplay.
Yeah, cosplay. It's
like the pinnacle.
There's all kinds of cool cosplay things going on. People are making shit out of foam.
Right.
All these plastics and anime stuff.
Right.
It's really cool, and I'm just like the medieval barbarian dude for real.
Right. You live in the dream.
Up in there.
Yeah.
With all these geeks and nerds.
And they all go and their jaws drop.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, who are you? What are you cosplaying? I'm like, I'm cosplaying me, motherfucker.
Right.
You know? I'm cosplaying Gravedigger.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'm not acting.
Right.
I don't have a character. This is me.
This is you. You're playing yourself.
I'm busting up in this place.
Right.
You know, and I don't care about any anime, really.
Right.
I don't give a shit about any of that. I'm a Star Trek dork.
Right.
But not so much, all the cosplay thing. I was cosplaying when cosplaying wasn't cool yet.
Right.
Well,
you were cosplaying on a whole different level. I mean, this is almost like battle reenactment. You see the Civil War. Yeah, exactly. You see that Civil War reenactment. I mean, this is in my opinion, on a much higher level.
Well, I make stuff for fighters too.
Yeah.
Like the heavy gauge combat stuff.
Yeah.
I can make that too, and I've done it.
What other crazy stuff have you made?
I did for Hank Williams III. I tore apart a goat skull.
What?
I got a goat skull and tore it apart and made a headpiece out of it that he could put on his head.
So you hollowed out the skull?
Yeah, I took it apart. I cut it down the middle and I hollowed it all out, grinded all the bone away.
Right.
And attached it and glued it all back together where he could slide his face in it. And I attached it to the front of one of my helmets. And the horns that came with the goat were perfect.
Right.
So, and I attached the horns to the helmet, and the bones that was inside the horns, if you ever took them apart, there's a bone inside of it.
Wow.
But I twisted the bone out and used it to make the ears of Baphomet.
Oh, wow.
So the ears went down, the horns went up, and there was a big-ass black horsetail attached to it.
To the back.
To the whole thing.
That like a mohawk kind of thing.
Yeah, the whole thing.
Wow.
And that was pretty harsh. So I've done a little bit of bone work.
Right. You do headpieces. Mm-hmm. Wow.
And that was a special one for Hank 3.
So who's your favorite client? Like band-wise or...
Well,
you gotta love Gothic Ren.
Well, yeah. Those are good people up there. When I met Salinos and the Dimmu Borgir guys, back in '99, I never met Salinos before in my life, Sven, and the first thing he said to me when I never said a word to him, seen him ever, he's like, "It's been a long time, brother."
Wow.
And I never laid eyes on him in my life except for in a previous life in the Viking Age or some shit.
Sounds like it.
So I'd say Sven of Dimmu Borgir. The Behemoth guys are really cool. Hank 3, me and him click on so many different levels.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous because we're both metalheads.
Right.
We both like punk rock and stuff.
Yeah.
And we're both rednecks.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because he's just Hank Williams' his grandson.
Yeah.
Bo Cephas's son.
Right.
Tri-Cephas.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, to the third power.
Yeah, man. It's like... he's the greatest down to earth dude.
Yeah.
You know, and he appreciates everything, and he's had at points probably the silver spoon handed to him by wanted to be handed to him by a record label or some shit or whatever, and he just chose to do it his way.
Yeah.
The old way, the hard way.
Yeah.
And the southern way, and that's the only way, 3 ways about doing anything that I know how to do.
Right.
The hard way, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
and it's like he don't dress up in no fancy bullshit. You know what I mean? Like these country fuckers do.
Right.
Hell, Hank Williams, Hank 3 had my stuff that I done for him. His piece that I did for him under glass.
Wow.
In the Hank Williams exhibit.
Oh, wow.
In the Country Music Hall of Fame in Nashville, Tennessee.
What? Wow.
Yeah, the piece that I did for him.
Nice. Can you give me some pictures of that? Do you have pictures of that?
I probably can. I think I do. Not in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
But I have pictures of the piece. Because you can't take pictures in the Hall of Fame.
Okay.
Because it's all under glass.
Yeah.
But, like, man, his grandpa's Cadillac was in there with it.
Wow.
You know, his grandpa's lyrics.
Yeah, of his music.
Yeah, and a leather tote bag that was carved.
Wow.
Leather carved tote bag. Leather carved stuff on Hank Williams' Cadillac.
Wow.
I mean, Hank Williams' suits, Bo Cephas's suits.
Yeah.
In the Country Music Hall of Fame with a piece of my armor in there.
Wow.
You know, with an inverted cross on the back and skulls on the front and a big old rebel flag on the back of it. In there with
amongst that
stuff, like his grandfather's.
How does that make you feel?
It's a certain success.
Yeah.
It makes you feel great, man.
Yeah.
It makes you feel kind of cool that a metalhead put some metal leather in the Country Music Hall of Fame with Willie Nelson's shirts and Johnny Cash's black suit.
Yeah.
And all that stuff. My stuff was in there with...
That's pretty epic.
Some of the most famous garments in the history of country music.
Wow.
My stuff was in there under glass with all that shit.
Wow.
And that was like, wow.
Yeah.
What's the irony of that?
Yeah.
Without an email.
Now, how are you going to top that?
I think I will top that by perhaps Lady Gaga or Madonna.
Yeah.
Or maybe some A-list band kind of people or famous, you know.
Somebody.
I was sitting in...
What about, like, doing an exhibit in a museum, like the Tower of London or something like that?
That would be cool.
Okay.
That'd be cool. Or like,
some film work.
I would really like to be on the show Vikings.
Yeah, somebody told me that.
If them fuckers just seen me.
All right, let's work on that.
If they just seen me.
Yeah.
They'd be like, dude, who is that guy? And who is that dude right there?
Dressed like that. Yeah.
Who is that girl standing there? Looks like she slapped Lurgatha across the fjord. Yeah, who is them two people right there?
Living it.
Yeah. You know, or to have my stuff on their show, you know what I mean? Just, you know, have me on there in my stuff would be fine.
Let's do it.
You know,
let's figure out a way.
I would like to go over to Europe and do something.
Let's find out who those people are and get in their face.
Yeah, because if I was going to go to the Discovery Channel store or in New York City, I was just going to go to the History Channel and walk up in there like I owned it in my thing. I didn't know what to do.
Let's figure it out.
But, like, you never know who might see it. I seen Lady Gaga on a big side of a building in Manhattan.
Yeah.
And I was like, that'd be cool if she was wearing my stuff.
Shit. Yeah.
Because I done conquered a bunch of feats.
You want to get more mainstream, like somebody really big.
I wouldn't say... I would like for that to be an artist.
For somebody mainstream. Yeah.
That would be an accomplishment or a movie.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Do a whole army?
Yeah, or me being a designer. Yes,
costume designer.
I might meet someone that is a manufacturer or is in that end of costuming. Where they might get a design from me and give me
X
as
a work
as
a designer. Yes.
or something like that. That I have designs already. They might want to give me $50,000 for one of them. If you want to make, they might want to make 200 of these.
Right.
You know, and I license them.
You design it. You show them how to do it.
And let them make it.
Yeah.
Or let a manufacturer or the store or whoever's going to sell it buy the patterns from me.
Yeah.
And let them worry about breaking their hands and making the shit.
Right.
I could just, me and Jen, or, we could just work on making another design.
Right.
Then we could be designers and we wouldn't have to beat our hands to death all the time.
That's where I'm going with my stuff. It's like I'm sick of sewing my ass off.
Or go overseas and do something.
Yeah.
Like if you work for find out who does Lord of the Rings or some of these
films.
Something like that, to where you can actually go to New Zealand, or you can go to Ireland and be able to afford it.
Yeah.
To go to these places and design something.
Yeah.
Because I've done been all over the United States. United States is a beautiful place.
Right.
But fuck this place.
Right.
I want to go over and see
Europe and
something
the rest
ancient.
Of the world.
So this country is young.
Yeah.
I want to see the places that I gathered inspiration that inspired me to do this.
There you go.
I want to see Europe, and I've never seen it. I've never been to Prague or the St. Vitus, the Gothic
Denmark.
Cathedral. I've never seen a Viking totem pole for real.
Yeah.
I've never seen any real
artifact.
You know what I mean? I would like
in its natural environment.
Yeah, go to Norway and do a job for Demu or one of these bands, and get to go to Norway and do it and experience it.
Yeah.
And that would be just that much more fire and energy that goes into those pieces.
Right.
Because I'm sitting here in Norway looking at a goddamn fjord.
Yeah. And
while
now
I'm working.
Now you're inspired.
Yeah, now who's the non-period Viking guy now?
Right.
Yeah. That's what I want to see. I want to see some more stuff that would inspire me to do more.
Yeah.
Or inspire me. I'm all about something to make me be better.
Yeah.
Which is what you don't see in people in general nowadays.
Yeah.
A lot of times is you don't see people that are actually inspired to do.
Have you ever seen exhibits of actual pieces from the past?
I went to Cloisters before, and I seen what they got over there, but in New York. But that wasn't much. I've never been to the museum.
In Europe, they have some really cool.
I've never been to any museum ever.
Yeah.
Never.
Wow.
I'm so uncultured. It's unreal.
But
to
your
do what
work
I do
is so full of culture.
Well, I live it, so maybe that. Maybe I don't.
You just were that in another life.
Well, I'm most certain.
Reincarnated Viking, dude.
I'm sure of that. Yeah.
I think so too.
Yeah, probably half a dozen past lives. But it's cool. It's a fun gig.
Yeah.
I just want to I want to see. That's all part of the travel thing. Sometimes people may want me to be around here and stuff, and the house living is pretty cool. It's easy. But goddamn, you're waking up in the same place every day.
Yeah. You want to travel.
You're walking out the same thing, and you're seeing the same old house across the street, man. And
now you've lived in this house your whole life.
Oh, this house I came home to as an infant. I was, from the hospital in a sock.
Right.
I came in that door right there.
Yeah. And slept in a drawer.
Yeah, so I want to see stuff.
Yeah.
I have that lust for
touring.
To see something, man. Cool. I don't care if sometimes I don't sleep comfortably, or you got to take some NyQuil to go to sleep because the mosquitoes are biting, or whatever.
Yeah. Extra shot of whiskey.
Yeah, whatever. I want to see some more stuff, and as I grow older, that will inspire me. Because when you die, they say your life flashes before your eyes.
Yeah.
I don't want to see the neighbor's house across the fucking street. You know what I mean? I don't want to see some fucking time clock.
Right.
I want to see
the places.
I want to see a movie. You know what I mean? I want to see the sickest movie that I could ever imagine seeing, which was my life.
All right.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be stuck, man.
That sounds like an awesome
plan. Man. Like, I hate to keep using this fucking new thing, Vikings.
Right.
But when that dude dies, when them people die, they did some shit.
Right.
You know what
I
mean?
They lived.
Yeah, exactly. When I die, I want to see every single my shit on the biggest bands in the world.
Right.
On every stage on the planet, just about.
Right.
Numerous times. I want to see
in film. You want a row of films in your in your cabinet that have Vikings and warriors wearing your shit.
I want that to be what I see as I die.
Okay.
That movie of a life
that
I lived.
What you created.
You know what I mean?
You've left behind already an army of shit.
Army
of armor.
I plan on having more.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, the whole Iron Harrier will get up in Valhalla every day with my shit on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The devil himself will have my shit, and you know what I mean?
Right.
He'll be hanging out with his pitchfork, his trident, going, when I sit at Odin's table, I won't be alone because I'll see all of my shit.
Right. Everybody will be wearing it.
2 or 3 dudes with my stuff on at the table. In Odin's table, so awesome. I win, but I still want to. You just gotta see, man. Yeah. I want that movie of the end of my life to be the shit.
So how the best way for people to get hold of you in the internet space, they can go to your Facebook page, which is Diggers with an S, right? Diggers Leather.
There's Diggers Leather Work is a page. And the main page I use is Dale Caldwell.
So Dale Caldwell profile, and you've got you're wearing your armor in your profile picture, right?
Yeah. You can totally see all that shit.
And if you can't find him, get a hold of me, Psycho Seamstress, and I will point you in his direction.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be your pimp. I swear to God, it's my mission to get you on film and get you some of these crazy places that you want to go.
I'm down.
All right,
I'm ready to go see all that cool shit.
Let's do it.
I'm down, totally.
All right. Well, this has been Psycho Seamstress on Rock Rage Radio, and we've been talking with Dale Caldwell of Diggers Leather, and we are out of here.